Today I'm going to be listening to a piece for orchestra by French composer Marc-André Dalbavie. It's titled Color, or Color, perhaps it's pronounced. And it is scored for 3-3-3-3, 4-3-3-1, 4 timpani drums, 1 player I'm assuming, 3 percussionists, harp, and piano, doubling on triangle, and strings, but specifically it asks for 10 first violins, 10 second violins, 8 altos, 6 cellos, and 6 basses. The first percussionist has to play marimba and glockenspiel, it looks like, and then percussion 2 has to play vibraphone, bongos, toms, snare drum, large gong, a pair of cymbals, and also a suspended cymbal, and 1 other drum, I think. Percussion 3 has a smaller list. It's just the bass drum, triangle, and 4 pitched gongs, which are on C, E flat, F sharp, and B, notated in the bass clef, and tam-tam. And I should mention the gong for percussion 2 is on the A, I'm assuming, although there's no clef here. Now, this was premiered in 2002 in Carnegie Hall, New York, by the Paris Orchestra, directed by Christoph Eschenbach. And you can see it's 1 stave per player, kind of massive score. Tempo at the beginning is quarter equals 30, so it's going to be very slow. Now, this is our first time covering a piece by Dalbavie, so I'm going to look into his bio before. I actually know very little about him going into this, so I'm curious to see the man behind the music, let's say. So, studied composition with Marius Constant and Pierre Boulez. Joined IRCAM in 1985, studying synthesis, computer-assisted composition, and spectral analysis. Moved to Berlin in the 90s, and currently teaching at the Conservatoire back in Paris. And he won the Rome Prize in 1994, and a couple of other notable prizes. If we look at his works list here, it's pretty substantial. He's got 4 operas, and a lot of orchestra works, mostly from the 80s to early 2000s. And he's born in 1961, and I'm assuming he's still alive. I don't see any pieces. Maybe the Wikipedia needs to be updated, but other than this 1 opera, these 2 operas, I don't see a lot of pieces from the past 10 years. So it seems like his composing may have slowed down a little bit. So not explicitly termed a spectral composer in this bio, but I think he would have been around spectral composers at IRCAM, and I think there's probably some influence there, just based on what I'm seeing and what I remember of hearing this piece years and years ago. And yeah, if you would like the recording that I'm listening to, it's in the video description. And this piece is about 22 minutes, so if you feel like committing the time to listening, I encourage you to come back and hear my thoughts for a few more minutes. Okay, yeah, so this was interesting to listen to with a score. Again, it was not that easy to see everything in this score, but I could make out the general orchestration ideas. And I apologize, this recording is in 2 parts. I'm not sure, it was uploaded 13 years ago, so maybe there was a upload limit on the first YouTube video of 15 minutes or something. I'm not sure. As for the piece, it's kind of interesting. It definitely has elements that are borrowed from spectralism, or at least like sound mass type experiments in the 70s, you know. But the whole thing as a whole kind of sounds quite modal. There's almost like this descending scale idea throughout that keeps coming up throughout the piece, and other sort of like pitch ideas that are kind of melodic, and yeah. As for like the textural ideas, they're all like things that really work well. Like it starts with this really long pad in the strings, and then like a bunch of stuff in the foreground and the winds and brass, and there's a really long section in the middle with like a repeated note idea, this pulsation. So like you have like almost still sustained tone stuff at the beginning, then you get pulsation in the middle, and then you get these long phrases. You start getting these really long phrases that end abruptly upward in like these upward flourishes, and then they start again. And that to me was like a little bit reminiscent of like a spectral idea that's like a big chunk of music that comes back over and over again, but slightly different, and getting more and more inharmonic maybe. But I thought the whole thing was very accessible, and there was no microtonality, so you could play it very easily, I think, and put it together very easily. Yeah, there's this ascending figure idea, which comes back briefly later, and interesting use of silence and space. Yeah, there's just a lot of very simple ideas where I was like, oh, I could steal that and make a piece, or I could steal this other thing and make a piece. I could steal this, like, combination of instruments on a unison and this other texture, and it was a lot of stuff that sounded effortless. It sounded like it would be easy to copy. I'm curious how often it gets performed, because I think it's very evocative, and it could pair well with a lot of other orchestra pieces, like maybe some Debussy. It does sound very French. We have another piece by Herman Romero in the next session, and this is an orchestra piece from 2001.